You already talked about parts per million, or ppm, in class. Just to review, 1 ppm is roughly the concentration of 1 pinch of salt in 3 whole bathtubs full of water. We split the samples into 4 groups: rain or puddles, things around your home, like the roof or buckets, still bodies of water, like lakes and ponds, and rivers. We also took a look at the tap water from your classroom at HMTCA. Since we had many water bottles that you gave us, we looked at the average amounts of these elements in each of those 4 groups.
Let's start with calcium and magnesium. You can have a lot of these in your water. They also make your water hard, which makes cleaning your house, or even your hair in the shower, much more difficult because it's working against the soap. If there's enough calcium and magnesium, you can see it form a white chalk on your faucet or shower head. Your samples had the most in rivers and lakes, though, and not your homes.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, is responsible for making sure that your water, air, and environment are healthy for you. They say how much of certain metals are safe to have in your water. Let's see how your samples compare to those safe levels.
You all tested your water samples for copper using a bright purple indicator tablet. In comparison to safe levels, you had hardly any copper at all. The most copper was in the rain puddles off the street, which was still 200 times lower than the EPA listed maximum copper level.
The copper concentration in the HMTCA tap water was 0.424 parts per million, which is still more than 2 times lower than the maximum copper concentration limit. Copper levels are much higher in the HMTCA sample compared to samples collected outside, because the tap water most likely passes through copper pipes, and copper from the pipes can leach into the water.
If we take a look at zinc, your levels are also way lower than the maximum allowance. Once again, most of the metal was in the puddles. Why is this? Well, on the street or in your yards, the water comes in contact with a lot of things and has time to pick up what's there. Runoff from cars, buildings, industry, and even the metal legs of your lawn chair could all add to the metal in the water on the ground.
Remember how pink your water samples turned when you tested for iron? As it turns out, you had a fair amount of iron in your samples. For lakes and rivers, the levels were about 0.1 parts per million. That's about a third of what the EPA says is safe. Now, what you really don't want to have much of in your water is lead. However, Hartford historically has a lot of industry, and some old buildings have lead pipes. Having some lead is common. All the lead levels were safe, including the water from your tap. The rain puddles had a somewhat higher ppm, but we aren't drinking that water.
So those are your results.